And, credit to Ian Garry because even though he said certain things about not wanting to fight you, you are
Yeah,
lower ranked and he ended up
yeah.
accepting the fight, right?
Right, right.
So credit to
Well, yeah,
him. I'm happy he took it.
you can call the Cup many things, but you can't call him duck. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely ain't ducking. But yet again, it's just like when you can't get the opportunities that you want, you got to take what you can get, right?
Mhm.
So this is what they had. You know, he wanted to fight Kobe, he wanted to fight Usman, and he wanted to fight Shavkat, but those fights just didn't happen. So the UFC gave him me. I said yes, of course, and he said yes. So now we got a fight on our hands.
Yeah, and so let's talk about how this all came together because I'm very curious. Like, because you wanted to fight Kamaru, right? And even before this, Sean Brady wanted to fight Ian. So, and then also Colby wanted to fight Ian. So Ian had like two guys calling him out. You were
Yeah,
calling out Kamaru. These are all
yeah.
guys ranked above you guys, right? And nobody's accepting these fights. Do you have any like inside info on why nobody's accepting fights? Why nobody's ready?
Now people be lying. I'm gonna keep it a buck. People be lying. Like they say they want a certain fight, but then once that fight gets offered, they just don't take it. So when we had that conversation with the Ian Gary fight that they came forward with me in the what fight was that? What fight was that? 300 UFC 300 or
Right.
right? They offered me that
Or
fight, right?
303 or something, right?
303. My
Yeah.
bad. Yep. Yep. They offered me. Hold on. Hey, hold on, little man. All right, hold on. They offered me that fight, and I said no. And the only reason why I declined, hi, yeah.
Mhm.
The only reason why I declined was I had just got done fighting two back-to-back fights. I was like, give me a little break. You know what I'm saying? But I love running with Ian on another time. But I was open to say that. Now people say, "Oh, why you duck him? Why you duck him?" I was like, "Bro, I'm not ducking nothing. Like my thing is, I'm willing to fight this man, just not on this date. It's too soon. Let me put my work in. Let me do my preparation, and then we can clock in, right?" But a lot of guys, they're not willing to speak up about that, right? And they'll just rather lie and say, "Oh, the UFC didn't call me. UFC didn't," because it ain't like the UFC gonna speak up or Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard or you know what I'm saying. Dana will be like, "No, he was ducking," right? They not gonna do that, So a lot of people just come out with a lot of lies because yet again, people are only gonna take it for face value. You know what I'm saying? When you say something, you know.
Yeah. So you think that these guys are just kind of not putting their name in the hat like you and Ian did, and that's why they're not getting offered the fight? Or do you think the fights are getting offered and
No,
maybe they're
they
turning it?
no. The fights are getting offered, bro. But they're saying they didn't offer it. You know what I mean? And they just saying like, "Hey, no, the UFC didn't come to me with this and that and the other. Why wouldn't they not come to you? That's the biggest fight to make, you know." And then also, both you guys were talking about it, and Ian didn't lie. He said that they approached him about the fight, right? About fighting Kobe, you know. And that don't make any sense why he would lie on the UFC like that,
He said he got a
So
contract with Colby's
you
name
got
on
a
it.
code
Right.
with it, Kobe name, all that shit, So you just people not taking fights. That's all. That's
Okay.
literally that. That's as simple as it gets. People not taking fights.
But then you got something like weird with like Kamaru. He's kind of not really taking that fight with you, right? That's why you got pushed into Ian because Ian's
Right.
also not getting people accepting fights with him. But then
Right.
it turns out that two things, right? It turns out Colby claims he offered to fight Shavkat on short notice. And now
Mhm.
Kamaru's like, I'll fight Shavkat on short notice too. That's looking like it's gonna happen. So I'm just wondering, like, what's your opinion on this? The fact that like both of these guys, right, they're kind of set up to fight you and Ian. I'm just kind of putting that out there. And
I
then
got
now that you and Ian got booked, they're both going after Shavkat. It's I don't know. I just don't know what to make of it.
It's just a business move.
Okay.
Why? I mean, I can't speak for Ian, but definitely for myself. Like Kobe and Usman definitely don't want to fight a person like me, right? Because I do have great wrestling defense. I have the ability to wrestle offensively. But then also, bro, I got two bangers, right? You know what I mean? Like they do not do well with guys that have great striking, and that's just the truth. And that's why they use their wrestling to take them down to the ground and kind of dominate. But with me, I feel like they just wouldn't be able to do that. And if they're led to stand up and fight with me, it's gonna lead to, them getting knocked out. So I feel like a lot of situations where, you know, with Kobe and Usman, it's just like, why take this fight when I can take this fight and potentially become a champion, right? Because if I'm a lose, why not lose to like whatever, a title holder,
Right.
But if they lose to me, it's just like they feel like there's nothing to gain from
Like
that
further
loss.
down the totem pole, but if you lose to the number one contender,
If that's
they
the
can
number
still
one
talk about
contender.
a fight with you, right?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if they lose to you, they can't really call for anyone ranked above you.
Nope. Not at all. So yet again, it's just business, you know. But for me, for the UFC, that's why I feel like the UFC should force guys to fight. You know, just like you know the NFL basketball, you never have a situation where the Patriots don't play the Eagles, you know, or you have the Denver Nuggets not playing the Pistons, right? Like everybody has to go up against one another, you know. There is no choice. So I feel like if you're being matched up and you put in a situation where okay, look, you're the number 5 guy, you're the number 6 guy. All right, y'all got to fight. The only way that you are unable to fight is if you injured, you got something going on in your life, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But at the end of the day, that fight get rescheduled, to make that happen. But I feel like yet again, the UFC gives us options where we can pick and choose, and that's what kind of slows everything up.
And the excuses, right? Like, I mean, Colby's able to say, like, oh, I just wanted to take time off to help Donald Trump get elected. And I
Right,
guess that's a
right,
fine enough excuse. But
right.
meanwhile, Ian Gary's career's on hold until basically you stepped up.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So, it is what it is. That's just how the cookie crumbles on this end. But like yet again, with Kobe not taking the opportunity, it opens up doors for me. And now I can make my name even further, you know what I mean, by fighting Ian Garry.
got
Yeah.
you. And so how the fight came together, you and Ian both threw your name in the hat for Shavkat, and then the UFC just called you guys, I'm assuming, like, because I believe that was the next day, right? On Halloween, they announced it.
Yeah, I believe so. Be honest with you, they
Like
had
24
already
hours, I feel like.
yeah. I was already in talks with fighting with Ian Garry before the whole Bilal situation had fell out. But there was no signing of the contract, right? So when we was in talks with fighting Ian Garry, we were just waiting on a response from him. The whole Bilal situation happened where my man got fungus in the foot, something nasty, something terrible. And we realized that, okay, this is an open, shot for the title or interim, or however you want to put it. And I seen that Ian made a comment first, right, or post first about an interview, talking about, 15-0 versus 18-0, how crazy would that be, right? And I'm like, damn, he ain't lying. Like, this is the time to kind of promote becoming a champ, you know? Like putting ourselves in a situation where, you can fight for a belt. So I did the same thing. I made that post right after that. Obviously, the UFC had other plans because they wanted to stick us together and make sure that we got our fight together, So yet again, I don't know what their plans are for Shavkat. I don't know whether they're gonna move on from that fight or if they're going to add somebody else, but they wanted us to stick with each other for December 14th.
Okay. And so
But
if
yeah,
you
we
were
was already in talks for that fight beforehand.